Please welcome to the stage Gainsight's Vice President, EMEA Sales, Kevin Shirley.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of Pulse, and we've got a really exciting day. But before we dive into day 2, I wanted to ask, how was the party last night? Did you all enjoy it? Yeah? Did anybody successfully split the G? Yeah? Video evidence required. I did see, though, that there was some pretty cool dance moves going on, certainly not mine. But we had more than a great party yesterday. We had some incredible sessions, and I'm sure all the learning you've now had, you're probably ready for Shiz University. During our first day, we spent a lot of time talking about the big picture. Today, it's classroom time, guys. We're here to share some really compelling customer use cases, bring to life the strategies and tools that you heard our Gainsight team outline yesterday. And who better to get us started than our amazing Chief Customer Officer and our amazing CSM. So please welcome to the stage Brent and Georgia.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks again, Kevin. I have to say, I've already had so many great conversations yesterday, saw so many great presentations, but as Kevin said, today's really about taking those learnings and really starting to apply much more the tactical execution. So as we said, I'm joined with Georgia, one of our incredible CSMs based in London. I know she works with a lot of you, and really today what she's gonna help me do is really start to take, again, these big picture ideas and really start to apply much more of the tactical and practical components. As Chuck shared yesterday, customer success has always been anchored in this desire to deliver customer outcomes. But what's the reality is we've gotten, really wound up in terms of activity, workflow, and it's really been much more prioritized than value and ROI. And the reality is that is just not gonna cut it anymore in this environment. And there's really no other slide from yesterday that resonates more with me than this one. And it's really based on the pressure that we're all facing in this room around how are we doing more with customers, but we no longer have this blank check to be able to hire more people, bring in more technology or resources. The reality is in this environment, scale isn't just a buzzword, it truly is our survival strategy. Every team is being asked to do more with less, and to succeed, we truly do have to scale much smarter, not harder. And so, there's really no right place to be when it comes to scale. Some of you today are doing amazing things in terms of how you're building a community. Others have mastered journey orchestration when it comes to truly scaling your customer success team. And some of you are already diving headfirst into AI agents, discovering where you can augment your teams or just automate workflow. Yesterday, hopefully you attended a session or two and really started to learn something new that you can take back to your organizations. On the main stage, you heard from leaders from Intercom, LinkedIn, Silverfort, and DocuSign, who are really leading the charge of AI on community and education, and really starting to then fully autonomize their renewal agents. Most of you are still building your programs yourselves, or even figuring out how to start, and honestly, that's okay. So to help you get started, what we really want to do is take you through a few examples of how our customers are already starting to make this shift to scale.
Thanks, Brent. So as you heard yesterday, we are really fired up to bring together skill jar, customer community, product experience to create a connected ecosystem. So you can treat every customer like your best customer. What I'd like to show you today is what this could look in practice with specifically how one company tackled education and is bringing education to its customers. Before we jump into the customer example though, let me just go through a few customer behaviors that we're seeing across the board. And we start with the shorter attention span. TikTok, AI summary, our phones, we're used to have short and snackable content and in the format that we prefer. And secondly, we have learn while doing. This customer behavior trend is basically saying that learning and doing cannot be separate anymore. We need to meet customers where they're at, and customers have expectations to learn while they work. And lastly, AI chat over search. So we heard a lot about it yesterday with Ali, but in case you missed it, the days of blue search links are fading. Customers don't want to be experts on how they search. They want to use their own words, and they want to ask questions and have very relevant and instant answers. So let's now look at a company that is putting these 3 principles into practice, and the company I'm talking about is Jamf. Jamf helps organizations manage their Apple devices, and they serve globally about 76,000 customers, from small coffee shops to big enterprise customers like IBM and Atlassian. And they've, over the past decade, transformed to be the digital-first SaaS company that they are today. So let's look at how Jamf tackled the 3 principles, and we start with the attention span challenge. A few years ago, the customer education team at Jamf noticed that fewer of their customers were completing certifications. So in order to deliver quick and specific help, the team needed to do 2 things. They needed to meet their customers where they were already and within a much shorter format. So for the latter, they replaced long videos in their skill jar catalog with 2 to 5 minutes clips, and they focused on single workflows. They call these videos Jamf Shorts, or internally, Jorts, which, yes, it's like a cut-off shorts pair of jeans. They host them publicly on YouTube. They have a dedicated Jamf training and support page, but also these Jamf Shorts they can find on ChatGPT. So this way, learners can find their way into Jamf's Learning Hub very easily. So it was a trade-off of less trackability in SkillJar, but far more discoverability for Jamf customer. And CSMs can see completion data of certification in Gainsight CS, and there's also Jamf Nation, which is Jamf community, which has more than 10,000 users at the moment. So the impact of this initiative brought a 51% year-over-year increase in active users in SkillJar and a huge boost in engagement. So that's the first trend, and we can really see how Jamf has built a true learning ecosystem where customers can access from anywhere. Now let's look at how Jamf addresses the learning while doing. Jamf embeds these jorts, the videos, directly into the app and emails. And users can then choose how they learn. They can watch a video, they can read a short text summary, they can read an article, take a feature tour. So they can really find the information in the format they prefer. But Jamf went even a bit further. When a customer submits a support ticket, the Jamf automatically suggests any shorts or related education content that is relevant for that subject of the support ticket. So this is a great example of how one could use education to achieve a higher rate of support deflection. Finally, let's look at how Jamf is addressing AI chat over search. They launched an Ask Jamf AI assistant. It's built directly into their product. A customer can ask questions in their own words and get instant and relevant answer. So it's like if they had a Jamf expert by their side 24/7. The AI assistant draws on knowledge from product information, knowledge articles, training courses from SkillJar, curated posts from their community, Jamf Nation. So this is just an amazing way to empower customers to focus more on the strategic rather than getting lost on the many product interfaces that Jamf has. So Jamf has seen a lot of impact after addressing these 3 main elements. After launching a short for a specific workflow, Jamf saw 2 things: an 80% decrease in support tickets related to that specific workflow, and 60% adoption of the feature. So recently, as well, another milestone that Jamf has hit, they had their 10,000 individuals certified through the Jamf 100 course. So Jamf's story just shows us that in the next era of software, success will come from having the strongest digital operating system, which drives continued values.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Georgia. Jamf's story is an incredible example of how these digital channels can come together to truly drive amazing experiences. But what about agents? To many of you, agents still feel like a step a bit too far. It's kind of like smoke and mirrors. But what I'm really here to share with you all today is that it's not the wizard behind the curtain. Like, agents truly are real, and they're making an impact on our customers. We use our own live agents like Staircase at Gainsight to proactively manage our accounts. Working behind the scenes, we can now automatically get alerts when an account is at risk, when they're ready for expansion, or whenever they've hit a key milestone. And this impact is real. Our customers are seeing flagged risk 40% faster, and in correlation to that are also seeing increased forecast accuracy, reaching nearly 95% across their retention forecast. Aqua Security is one of these customers. They use Staircase to get more objective database health scores for a much more accurate picture of the revenue that they have at risk. Their team, after implementing Staircase and connecting it seamlessly to the rest of their data systems, have now added a Staircase health score as an input to the existing frameworks that they already had in place. This combination let them take the best of what their historical scores were telling them. They've added in this new value and insights from the AI insights provided by Staircase, and their results were phenomenal. It was a 35% increase in the margin of error for their forecasting. Again, moving from 40% to just a 5% margin of error when it came to predictability across their retention forecast. Another great example is Rockwell Automation. So Rockwell is using Staircase to make a much more broad impact across their entire business. So for their team, what they were able to do is they analyzed over 50,000 accounts using Staircase. And what this did was it gave them visibility into trending topics that were being discussed by different teams, what were the themes associated to those topics, and customers' needs that truly blew away their entire data science team. So what they've done now is they've taken their customer success team, their product teams, their data teams, and they've used Staircase to shortcut how they're analyzing customer data at scale and drawing these insights to the conclusions they've truly needed. One of these data analysis found that CSMs were spending thousands of hours just scheduling meetings. So something they would have never been able to identify. I mean, obviously all of us in the room know that these things take time, but being able to quantify this was something they were never able to do in the past. So what they were able to do is by cutting down just this one workflow for CSMs, they've saved 70% of the time with this automated analysis on both the account and the book level of their book of business. Finally, EBRs. In more general, we all know that they're a pain, but they're a pain that we all have to be able to deliver on and drive value at all persona levels across the organization. So one of our customers, Singular, took EBRs and they started to move it from just a checkbox activity to truly be a core driver of their renewal process. For them, EBRs were 2 times more likely when completed to actually drive a successful renewal. And so what they've done is they've really started to redefine their EBR to make it efficient to prepare, relevant to deliver, and automated to follow up. Their CCO has his team now take specific actions before, during, and after the QBR to make this possible. Again, and all of this is fueled by the insights from Staircase to allow their entire team, again, to prep, to deliver, and automate in the most efficient and effective way possible. Now, agents are the next frontier, and collectively, we're still all writing that chapter of customer success and how agents, digital, and humans truly come together to deliver the outcomes that CS has always strived for. But we all know this chapter isn't finished, and it's okay to not have all the answers. I'll say, I know personally, we don't all have them yet, but we are all excited to continue to learn from individuals like all of you in the room. And so with that, what I'd love to do is hand the mic over to Marilee Baer, the Chief Revenue Officer at Gainsight, as well as Stephen from Shopify and Sally from Brandwatch.
Hydrate. All right. Well, hello, everybody. Good morning. We're excited to be here. I'm Marilee Baer. I'm Chief Revenue Officer for Gainsight. And I'm really excited to talk to you today about digital. When we think about how we've spent the last day and a half or so, there's been a ton of conversation on AI and agents. But what we don't want to do is overlook a fundamental foundational piece of CS, and that's digital. And when I say digital, I don't mean it as a segment. I mean it as a strategy and emotion that's interwoven all throughout what you do every day with your customers. So with that, let me go ahead and introduce, or have Stephen and Sally introduce themselves. So Stephen, Would you like to tell us a little bit about you and your role, please?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, first of all. So I'm Stephen Rogan, Head of Customer Success here in EMEA for Shopify.
Great. And you, Sally?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sally Lane. I'm Director of CX Operations at Brandwatch.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. So before we jump into the questions we have and the conversation around digital, really quick icebreaker. So with the holidays coming up in the month of December, I'd love to understand, what's your favorite holiday tradition? Sally?
For me, it's definitely the crafting. I've got two young girls, a 3- and a 6-year-old, so crafting the cards, the decorations is very big in our household.
Ooh, sounds good. And do you have a craft room by chance?
We do have a craft room, yeah.
I'm jealous. Fun. Okay, Stephen, what about you? What's the holiday tradition?
Yeah, I love all the traditions. They're all fun, you know. Mariah Carey on November 1st. Oh. The big one for us in our house is Christmas Eve boxes. Okay. And so every Christmas Eve, we'll sit down, kind of batten down the hatches. There'll be books, there'll be hot chocolate and pajamas, and that kind of starts the holiday weekend for us with a few days off.
Nice. A little teaser before the present opening on Christmas Day, right?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, for me, we get my family together, extended family, and we have a really nice Christmas Eve lunch at our favorite restaurant in our town, and we've done that for a few years now and hope to keep doing that. So, all right, well, let's jump in. Let's start off with just a little bit of history. I'd love to understand from each of you your digital programs and how they've really evolved through the years to scale to your needs. So maybe what I'll do is start off with you, Sally. I'd love to hear from you for Brandwatch Decision.
Yeah, our digital experience very much started at the beginning of the customer journey, so improving time to value. Specifically in Brandwatch, the consumer intelligence product needs a bit of setup before we can start getting the insights out. So we knew that was a bit of a pain point for our customers. And though we had some AI in the product to help surface trends and insights behind those trends, it still required that kind of basic setup. So we invested very heavily in our academy with the skill jar and our community to that peer-to-peer learning to start building those flows in our academy to support the in-person onboarding and have courses for query writing and so on. And then I'd say we switched to the other end of the life cycle and we started implementing the auto-renewal process. And it's only really in the last few years, because we've launched a digital customer segment, where we've started really analysing every touch point through the journey and seeing, okay, how can we make that more digital experience and to save time for our CSM. So I work very closely with our head of digital experience. Their team sits between operations and product, and he's thinking very much from what does the user want. And we've workshopped every moment and have thought, okay, what is it that the user wants from that moment versus what we want them to do from that moment? And then anything where we've had success in the digital segment, thinking how do we apply that to all our other segments and getting those efficiencies as well.
Great. So you started off pretty broad, and you brought in more precision over the years. So love to hear the same from you, Stephen. What does it look like at Shopify?
Sure, yeah. I mean, in the early days, we went heavy into things around, engagement around forums and help desks and social media integration, that kind of thing. I think what we recognized was, though, as our product evolved and our customer base evolved, we optimized for scale as opposed to maybe understanding. And so there was a point in time where we recognized that, and we started to build some of our systems and operations for augmenting the human and the technology side as well, to get both the reach and the scale, but also to understand more exactly what our customers needed from us, what they needed at the right time, and where we went with it. I think where that's evolved to now, and where our ambitions is around, hey, how do we personalize this at the right time, at the right moment for the right merchant? And so meeting those customers with the right information at the right time. And I think this is where we'll take it from here.
Great. So it sounds like from a scale perspective, you brought in more personalization to help sort of balance maybe a little over-indexing in the scale department.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it's still foundational. We still need that scale and reach. Shopify has got 2.5-3 million customers across the world, and so that is just a baseline foundation of what we need and what is demanded from us as well. Yep,
great. Well, let's talk a little bit about creating a single system for the customer, for tracking and understanding the customer. So how are you connecting things like your customer community, forums, events, user groups, What does that look like, and how do you help create an experience of a feeling of just one journey for the customer? So Sally?
It's really hard. I think talking to lots of people yesterday, it seems like lots of us are going through this mergers and coming together of different orgs. So you've already got to deal with the challenges of bringing those systems together. But with regards to once we have got the knowledge center and the LMS all unified, we've had the most success recently, I think, launching the Intercom AI, Fin AI that we heard about yesterday. Yes. So bringing that knowledge from all of our other platforms into our product so that the customer can access that at any point. And then we currently connect all of our different tools via the Salesforce CRM, but that's at an account level. So the challenge that we're really working through at the moment is how do we create that user data level, which can then help us orchestrate that journey as we want it to be, so it's a seamless experience across every system.
Great.
But it's tough.
It is hard. So Stephen, how are you all doing it at Shopify?
Yeah, I think the idea of a single system is great. I think the practicality is a bit more difficult, in reality. We had all the tools and all the systems and every single channel you could think of, and they're all fantastic, and they're all great, and they're all important for what the customer needs. We call our customers our merchants. But the reality was, I think, what it caused was a little bit of cognitive overload. If you're making your customer think too much about where do they need to go to solve for X, they're probably trying a little bit too hard. And so we took a step back. What we recognized was, okay, we have the product, the customers live in the product every day, Shopify product and the admin. Right. And so we've got a really great property there to be able to capture the attention and to surface contextualized information at the right moment. Yeah. And so from a technology standpoint, that starts with, as you said, the identity layer. So once you solve for single sign-on, once all these are tied together and integrated, then we know exactly what that person's engaging with over here, what they're engaging with over here, how they maybe interconnect, tie that with some of the data or where we see them on their life cycle, and we can be super contextualized about, okay, maybe you need to engage with this community to solve this problem here. Maybe you're stuck on this particular thing that we can bubble up a learning class from an LMS inside the app. Or equally, perhaps there's an intervention from a CSM that you need. And there's a signal we can throw into a connected second tool, like a CRM or whatever, to say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. X could do with a call or an email, or here's what they're trying to solve for. Let's get in touch.
What was the hardest part of what you just explained for you to solve as an organization?
There's a lot of teams, there's a lot of people involved, and so tying them all together and aligning them on the right goal for the merchant. So putting the merchant at the center of that conversation, and then making sure that everything's kind of cohesively connected. Yeah. Look, that's not easy, and that's a work in progress. And then you've got things like content freshness, relevancy. The retail industry changes so fast that what's relevant yesterday might not be relevant tomorrow. And things happen quickly,
Yeah. Yep. All right. Great. All right. Well, let's segue over to the role of peer networks. So often, you think about customers trusting their peers more than they trust the company and what we're saying to them. So where have you seen where forums and groups like that can create even more loyalty? So maybe Stephen?
Sure. Yeah, we're big on advocacy. So customers listen to customers more. They listen to your peers. So we kind of find that someone's more likely to take an action 3 or 4 times more likely if you hear from someone who's been there, done that. And so the CSMs are great because, okay, they give advice. They've got a frame of reference across dozens, hundreds, thousands of customers that they draw on, but that's still advice. Whereas if we connect you with another person who's been through that, that's a war story. Yeah, they've been there, done that, and they have absolute confidence that, okay, there's another other side of this challenge. And so that's really, really important for us. And so for us, it's how do we make that connection? What's our role in that connection, whether it's curating some of that, the best connections, or stepping in when we need some official guidance. And we see that in online, we see that offline, we see that in events like these. And that translates to retention and NRR and all the big things that we're pushing towards.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, and the power of the community here and the power of the peer network. It is certainly something we see, and you guys have touched and felt yourself.
Yeah, and, but it's one of those things that sometimes it doesn't scale, but it shouldn't scale. Human touch doesn't scale either, but it's so great.
Yeah. Yep. Great. Okay, so let's talk about metrics, KPIs, ways to measure success. I'd love to get into data and reporting and just how are you holding your teams accountable and how do you translate the right metrics that matter to your business, to your board, to your stakeholders into, like digestible insights or ways to take that data and make it actionable and, drive even more success. So, Stephen, how does that look at Shopify?
You have to remind me if I forget the answer part of that question.
KPIs and metrics.
The big one we have for success is NRR. And so that's the big number that we report up. And so that's, really important. But Shopify is such that, our success is based on our customer success in terms of the revenue. And so we're really aligned to, hey, how do we help our merchants grow? And so the NRR is one piece, but actually, what's the customer's revenue growth? And so what are the signals we're seeing there in terms of kind of that trajectory? Are they entering new markets? Are they adopting more products? That allows us to figure out where we invest our time and efforts into accelerating that growth for customers. And the important thing is if we take that, we start to think about how we filter that up through the business, through the exec level, and QBRs or the core earnings reports. What's really important actually is context. What's important for us in Europe is not necessarily important for AMER as a region. And what we're seeing actually, retail's hyper-focused and hyper-local. And so what we might see in terms of some growth in data for Italy could be different to why it is in Spain. And so it's our CSMs are adding that contextual layer. Hey, here's what we're seeing, but here's why that is, and digging into it. And as we throw that up further and further, bring it up through the business, that context helps us make some decisions about, which direction we want to go, where do we want to move into, move out of, and that's really, really key.
And do you look at the metrics on you said geographical basis, but at what point is there a view over all the geographies? Is that at the board level or Toby's level?
At the board level, you're still talking geographies. So EMEA continues to be a really strong area of growth for us. But then obviously a different abstract, we're looking at different individual countries and kind of sub-regions. And then kind of filtering out, okay, where do we look at next? Who's coming up next?
Great. So Sally, what about you?
Well, of course, we obsess over GRR and NRR as well, but recently we've had a change. At the beginning of this year, we launched a new health score, which was very much more focused on those leading indicators. So things like strategic meetings and more of the CSATs and things like that, which we have rolled out across the orgs, and it's there's a visibility to all levels into ELT. So it's quite a nice traffic light system, and for those of you who are with the health scoring Gainsight, and so we've had great success with everyone being able to kind of know what's expected of them, what everyone's going to be looking at, and therefore what they need to speak to when we have monthly KPI check-ins on those metrics. So that's been great.
I love the green, yellow, red. Makes it easy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're looking at that on a weekly basis as well as monthly, you said?
I guess the CSMs will be looking at it weekly, but for ELT it's more monthly.
Great. Good. All right, well, let's round it out with a little quick touch on AI. So, as you think about AI and leveraging it for digital, specific to that strategy, maybe, Stephen, you can tell us a little bit about what you're doing at Shopify. We know you're innovators. We know you're really a technology company at heart. So I know the audience would love to hear from you what you're doing with AI and how you're making sure it's interwoven in everything that you're doing for your customers and also internally.
Yeah, for sure. So, Shopify is absolutely all in on AI. We have, a message came from our CEO that we should be reflexive on AI, and it should permeate through every part of our role.
I remember that
in our day-to-day, yeah. It was great. People still talk about that, So, and so that set the tone for the whole business to give us a bit of license to start to play and experiment.
Right.
And so we think of it in two ways. One is, how does AI show up with our customers? What does that mean from how do we do more with less from a customer? Is it image creation, content creation, analytics reporting? How did that be the extra person? And then equally, what does that mean from a retail standpoint? And so things like checkout in ChatGPT and other kind of AI solutions. This is all the really cool stuff coming down the line.
Haven't tried that yet.
No.
I'm excited to.
It's hugely exciting, and it's a really exciting place for us. And then on the other side of that is, where does that show up for us in customer success and that customer experience? And so right now, the whole business is playing with AI. We had a internal summit in July last year, and throughout the week, we had 7,000 people hacking on AI, right from Toby, our CEO, down to every single person in the business.
Wow.
Playing with Cursor.
All employees, right?
All employees, playing with Cursor, creating solutions, pitching solutions, just solving problems that we're seeing from the ground up, and it was fantastic. And so that's really brought a lot of innovation and new thinking. So right now, where we're thinking about this, what does that mean from an efficiency standpoint? How do we enable people to work with agents to do tasks or solutions, or some of the stuff that we do every day? And then equally, so how does that get us 25, 30% to be able to do more of the best stuff? So how you basically augment this. And then what does that mean from a personalization standpoint around data, campaigns, insights to our customer base? So again, taking that one next level and being hyper-personalized to what we're seeing at the customer front.
Great. So Sally, you mentioned Finn, and we saw Karen on stage yesterday. Any other elements of AI that you're incorporating into your digital strategy?
So Finn was released for our customers, but also the CSMs can take advantage of that as well to reduce some of that load on support. And then we have been trying to adopt the AI features in Gainsight as quickly as they're released, which isn't always possible as fast as we want because of the resource. But we have, AI cheat sheet, and I think the AI note-taking is probably still our CSM's favorite addition in terms of saving them time. And then outside, we're just trialing Staircase as well, so excited to see what's going to happen with that. Outside of Gainsight, we have a tool called Lean, which plugs into all of our internal systems, and so CSMs can make use of that to help research customers and write documents. It accesses external knowledge as well as internal knowledge, and as part of that, also we encourage everyone to submit ideas to a knowledge bank, and what AI prompts could we have, or improved workflows. So yeah, generally encouraged. We just need to think about how we govern that as we move forward, and I think that will become easier as more of these features become available in a tool that we're using.
Great. Are you doing any gamification or incentives to get people to be more innovative and think about how they can, use AI in their everyday?
We haven't, but that is a good idea. We
can do a 7,000 employee hackathon.
Well, yeah.
We know we do it in engineering, but we haven't done it for the rest of it. Yeah.
We have a leaderboard for number of tokens being used by internals.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of like a badge of honor at the moment. So everyone's using Cursor. I think we're one of the biggest deployments of Cursor. And it's integrated with all our Slack and our G Suite and all our analytics. So it's really fun, and it's great for experimentation.
Yeah, well, it's exciting in the world of CS and AI today. So, well, with that, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank you both for being here, for sharing your insights, your experience. I know the audience probably, I'm sure, loved hearing from both of you. And so now it is time to switch over to one of my favorite times of Pulse. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Liam Gillerin and Nadia Nikolai to present our GainStar and Game Changer Awards. Thank you.
Now it's time for one of my favorite moments at Pulse, our annual Game Changer Awards. Each of today's winners represent the best of the best, the ones who don't just follow the yellow brick road, the ones that pave it. These individuals and teams are pushing the boundaries of what's possible in customer success, education, and community. We're very excited to celebrate their accomplishments. First up, the architect. This category recognizes the individual or team that has gone above and beyond to build a thriving customer community. IdeaGen launched their community, Luminate, and the results have been nothing short than fantastic. Please join me in congratulating the team at IdeaGen and welcoming to the stage Samuel Brown, CX Digital Platform Specialist, to accept the Architect Award. Well done. We'll do a photo here.
Now, next up, the Challenger. This award recognizes an organization that has faced challenges head-on, emerging stronger and more customer-centric than ever. Entrust transformed the CS organization from reactive to proactive, building a scalable, digital-first motions powered by Gainsight CS. Congratulations to Entrust. Accepting the award, please welcome Prinor McCurry, Senior Manager of Global Skilled and Digital Success.
Our next category, the Dream Team, recognizes teams that have demonstrated outstanding collaboration and achievement in driving customer success. Mimecast have moved from a fragmented CS approach to build a unified, data-driven system with Gainsight CS, creating a powerhouse of alignment and efficiency. Congratulations, Mimecast. Accepting on behalf of the team, Neil Walker, Senior Manager of CS Programs, Strategy and Operations. Well done.
And now, the Golden Skillet Award, celebrating outstanding customer education programs powered by Skilljar. This honor goes to the companies that elevate learning as a key part of customer experience, educating, engaging, and empowering their users. AMCS Group completely transformed its education strategy with AMCS Academy. They built formal training validation, launched 50 new product certifications, and saw incredible results. Please join me in congratulations, AMCS Group, accepting the award, Lisa Haley, Global Head of Customer and Product Training.
Our Transformational Leader Award honors individuals who have driven transformation change by elevating customer success and product experience to strategic priorities. Under the leadership of Thorsten T., SAP have achieved a global rollout of Gainsight at speed and scale, driving measurable impact across the organization and setting a new benchmark for transformation. Please join me in celebrating SAP and welcoming Thorsten T., SVP of Adopt to Consume, Corporate Process and IT, to accept the award.
And now, for the Visionary Award. This award recognizes an organization that blazed the trail of innovation by harnessing the power of AI to redefine customer success. At Acceptor, Gainsight has become the hub for AI transformation, unifying data, automating workflows, and enabling scalable success. Accepting the award, please welcome Matthew Smith, Principal CS, Engineering and Operations. Congratulations once again to all of our 2025 Game Changer Award winners. Your innovation, dedication, and customer obsession continue to inspire this entire community. Now let's give them one more big round of applause.
I'll top and tail.
Thank you.
Feel free to shut up, mate. At Gainsight, we love celebrating customers who inspire our community. And that's exactly what our GainStars recognition program is all about. It's our year-round way of shining a light on those who continue to elevate conversation, share their expertise, and champion the Gainsight experience. Today, we're thrilled to spotlight our 3 Platinum GainStars, customers who don't just participate, they truly stand out. In the words of Glinda herself, you're going to be popular. Whether you're sharing best practices, leading their voice on webinars and reference calls, or supporting peers across our community, these stars have set the standard for what customer advocacy looks like at its best. If you want in on the fun, you can scan the QR code on screen to join the Gainsters program. We'd love to celebrate you next. Please give a round of applause to our Platinum Gainsters, Angela Felicimo from LearnShip, Romina Herrera-Lopez from AppSpace, and 2-time Platinum Gainstar Sarah Masterton-Brown from Muse. Congratulations. Have you got yours? Got your badge on?
You can run the mile, you can walk straight through hell with a smile. You could be the hero, you could get the gold. Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke. Yeah, do it for your people, do it for your pride.
We're honored to have so many customers showing up the way in all these amazing categories, scaling digitally, jumping in with both feet for AI, and so much more. I'm equally honored to welcome our next guest to the stage from a company redefining CS at scale most of us can only dream of. To share more on their CS approach, where agents fit in, and where we can learn from their tremendous experience, please welcome to the stage Chuck Ganapathy, along with Balaji Balasubramanian and Alexandra Rosa from SAP.
Good morning. Good morning, Pulse. Okay, we have an exciting fireside chat with 2 of our very good friends from SAP, Alexandra Rosa and Balaji. They're going to be talking to us about the transformation that's happening at SAP. But before we do that, in the time-honored tradition at Gainsight, we always start discussions like this with an icebreaker. You all know that. So we're going to do the same. So I'll start with Alex. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And the icebreaker question is, what is your favorite musical of all time?
Of all time?
Wicked, obviously, is great. So hopefully you pick a different one.
Which I've admitted I haven't seen. Hi, everyone. So Alex Rosa from SAP. I'm our SVP for Global Customer Success Management for our business suite. My favorite movie is Moulin Rouge. I love the music.
Ooh.
I've seen it many, many times.
I love it too. Yeah. Awesome. Balaji?
Hello, everyone. My name is Balaji Balasubramanian. I'm the President and Chief Product Officer for SAP Customer Experience and Consumer Industries, focusing on a few of the key end-to-end processes. If you don't mind, I'll cheat. I'll give you 2 musicals.
Oh, great.
One is Grease. I think it's all-time favorite. I think there's nobody who doesn't like that. But the other one is Chicago. I moved to Seattle in 2002. I remember very vividly when we moved there. That was when the movie was released. So it's a combination of showmanship and invention and keeping audience on your side. So I thought that was very
amazing.
Yeah.
All great choices. I love all of them. All right, now let's get right into it, okay? All right, so Alex, last 2 days here at the Pulse conference, we've been talking a lot about AI and agents and the transformation that's happening in customer success. From your vantage point of running one of the largest customer success organizations on the planet, tell us how you see that change happening and what does that mean to you? And what's the future of customer success? We all want to know.
Thanks for that question. I mean, I think it's a really, really interesting time to be in customer success. I think we've gotten to a point where we're on this very interesting trajectory, and I think finally the technology has kind of caught up with us, like where we've always wanted to go. And when I think about an organization the size of SAP, obviously we have a lot of customers, we have a lot of products. It's very complex. We're everywhere you could think we could think about. So scale, I think, is something that's always in the forefront of my mind. How do we scale our motions? Because we want to make sure that any customer, whether they're a small customer or a very large customer, we're producing the same outcomes from a customer success perspective. And so I think what I'm seeing more and more is the ability to really harness the data that we have, that shows past actions so that we can actually think about trends and signals and how a customer might perform in the future, so we can be more preemptive and proactive about it, but also the ability to harness data in the moment and really get a sense in terms of where our customer is at. So I think from a success perspective, it's really exciting to be able to leverage all that so that we can, as success leaders, be more diagnostic. So being able to diagnose where our customers are, we can be more preemptive. So think in advance in terms of we're seeing certain signs, so maybe we should be thinking about how we mitigate that risk now. And I think also in terms of AI, it's that ability to take away some of the more administrative things, repetitive things that we've done in the past, and really augment our motions with that. So I think it's a great time to be in CS.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Balaji, now obviously you run one of the largest product development organizations on the planet, and you're thinking a lot about AI. So talk to us a little bit about how that's impacting your roadmap and how you're thinking about bringing AI to your customers.
Maybe Chuck, I think before I jump into AI, because that's obviously top of mind for everyone, I'll maybe take a step back and tell you a little bit about what is forming our principles, especially in today's world, especially in the context of customer success. I think the pace of innovation, right? When we release, now we're releasing far more capabilities than ever before, right? And our realization is that, we think, oh my goodness, we are releasing so many good things, our customers can benefit from it. But then we are realizing that the value, realization is not as much as we think it is. And a big part of that is because adoption is not necessarily where it needs to be. So we're doing everything possible from a core product development standpoint to make people understand and adopt those capabilities in order to get to the value. And once they realize the value, of course, satisfaction comes in, and of course, customer success breeds from there. So everything from how you discover those capabilities in the moment, recommendation, guided walkthrough. Of course, AI helps quite a bit in that regard. So that just forms the basis of it, and not just in terms of discovery, but when you're using it, rather than them having to go somewhere else to understand how to use it in the context, in the application, in the user flow, is something super critical for us. So that has changed quite a bit of how we think. And the second part, back to what Alex was saying also, is data. I think telemetry, instrumenting that in the product so that we know exactly where users are, what they're doing, because it also feeds into customer success. Because when we have the conversation with the customer, then we can really tell them the overall scope of the product and what we're delivering for them versus what they are actually using, because then that becomes a lot more interesting. So we're quite excited about the journey, and we're also super thankful, Chuck, to you and your team for how the partnership is evolving. And we're looking forward to actually integrating our product portfolio much better to bring this forward.
Amazing, and thank you as well for your partnership. It's been great to work with your team. As you think about AI and the roadmap for SAP CX, how do you think about augmentation versus autonomy? Because this is a topic that we talked about yesterday a lot.
Yeah.
Is the role of AI to augment human capability and amplify our capacity as humans, or is it to replace jobs to be done so these agents can work autonomously? How do you think about that?
No, it's a really, really good question. I think for us, it's a combination of both. So there are examples of AI-enabled workflows where human is in control and human is in the center of everything. So whether that's embedded AI capabilities or agentic capabilities, it doesn't really matter. And what we think about is building these capabilities And whether it's a singleton agent that runs in a given domain, or there are multiple agents that you can orchestrate across, but put the human in the center of that workflow. So they are in control and they can do it. So that happens in plenty of good scenarios. But then there are also scenarios where, policy-driven decisions. So you don't necessarily need a human in the loop, because this happens all the time. These are well-documented policies. You can actually make it much more autonomous. So you can sense, you can reason, you can act autonomously. And we build agents for that as well. So the combination of these two is very, very critical. The third thing I'll say, Chuck, this is neither of these two things, but it's slightly orthogonal to it, but very, very important, is because AI obviously relies on a lot of data, and data provides the context. And there are many, many situations that we are discovering where the breadth of the data across the enterprise, where there is no human actually who's doing it, there is no system that is actually doing it today. It's all done in ad hoc manner. We call them as deep research capabilities. So with the power of AI, we can actually build, it's like finding the needle in a haystack, if you will, but it's much harder to do in a normal setting, but AI now provides that capability, and you can do the deep research amongst huge volumes of data and bring insights, and that insights actually drives action, which then drives customer success as well. So I think, we announced at our SAP Connect event, one of the new capabilities that is coming up, which will be a wonderful collaboration between Gainsight and SAP as well, is what we call as revenue intelligence. So take all the structured data from enterprise, take unstructured engagement data, but also all the publicly available information, and put it together. And with deep research capabilities, you can actually drive revenue intelligence for all the sellers in the organization.
That's amazing. I love those examples that you gave, and I think about augmentation and autonomy as in very simple ways. Augmentation is humans are doing the job and AI is in the loop.
Right.
Yep.
Autonomy is AI is doing the job and humans are in the loop.
Yep.
And both have their place.
Yep.
So great. Thank you for that. Alex, the other thing we talked about yesterday was the future of customer success is all about treating every customer like your best customer.
Yep.
And the reality is you can't do that by just throwing people at the problem. You have to use scale. You have to use agents to supplement what the humans do. And you cover a massive amount of customer base and a huge revenue base. How do you think about the combination and the magic of humans and digital and agents helping you do what you do?
It's a really interesting one, because I think, like I said, I think it's something that we've thought about for years, and now we're able to actually get further with it. What excites me also about it is I think as CSMs, we've acted as kind of like, we've been very reactive. We've focused a lot of maybe on those outlier cases with companies, and we focused our emphasis on that. And what I love about this intersection now of all these great things is, one is no customer is left untouched. And I think in the past we did, right? There's just so many customers to be able to get out to, and through either digital or through the human interaction, or even the introduction of agents, we can absolutely make sure that that customer in that moment in need, in that point in time, they're able to reach out to customer success. And I always say customer success for me is a strategy. It's not a role. It's everything that comes together to form this amazing kind of journey for the customer. So I think there's a lot that it allows us to do from a scale perspective. And what I love about it, and it's going back to, I'm a bit of a data nerd, but the data aspect of it, I say to every CSM, if you just use one data point to start every conversation, you are going to get stronger and stronger in terms of that data point. And it's going to really inform that conversation that you have with that customer. And imagine now that you also have AI behind you to be able, ask a CSM, go in there and find the answer, to a question that your customer has, or a customer can self-serve. I always say this, I think it's, digital gives you the breadth, the ability to scale very quickly. Humans give that opportunity to be in the moment of that conversation, the important conversation where context and trust is needed to build that relationship. And AI really gives you that opportunity to kind of deepen that relationship, but it's kind of that additional member to your team. And I think as CS leaders, we need to start thinking more and more in terms of, the team is not humans. It's all this other wealth of agentic and so forth that we can access. So I think it benefits not only the CSM and the organization, but definitely the customer. And I think that's, we used to always talk about customers for life. I think it helps us being able to do that because we can see the past of the customer, the present, and hopefully anticipate what the future is going to be like for that customer and work on that now.
I love it. I love it. Okay, one last question for both of you. So we have this other tradition at Gainsight where we do start, stop, continue.
Right.
So I would love to hear from both of you, from your vantage points of a product leader and a customer success leader. What advice do you have for our audience on things that we should start, stop, and continue over the next 12 to 18 months?
Want to go first?
I'll go first. I think I said one right now. Start leading with data. Like every conversation, bring on a certain data point and work with that. I think we're still being very reactionary at times, and we're focusing on the outlier cases. I think if we spend more time, especially from a scale perspective, is thinking about the trends that we've seen in the past or seeing now, we can start to put customers in cohorts, and we can solve for them together, rather than spending a lot of time on this outlier that is taking a lot of time and energy. So I would say to CSMs, stop being so reactionary and start being more preemptive. Think about what we could be doing now that's going to preempt a risk with that customer in a year or 2 years' time. And all of these things that we have at our fingertips, we can leverage now to be able to do that.
Great advice. Thank you.
Oh, and can I add one more?
Oh, of course, please do.
One more I would say.
As much time as you need, Alex.
Thanks, Jack. One more thing I would say is, as a CSM, this evolution is a good one. And I think I hear a lot of fear in terms of, is agentic AI going to replace the role of the CSM? I don't think it is. I actually think it's going to enhance the role. And I think as CSMs, we should be always going at everything with a growth mindset and continually to evolve. Because when I think about what our customers really want from us, they still want that human connection, but at that right moment. And I think we need to think about how we leverage that critical resource that we have, which are humans, in the right way to drive those outcomes. So keep learning, keep evolving, and we'll keep evolving this profession.
Growth mindset, I love it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Balaji?
I'll say it from a product development and product engineering standpoint. I'll start with continue. I think this is important. All of us obviously start from an outside-in customer, what do they want perspective. So I would say continue that, because when we put ourselves from a customer obsession perspective, then magic happens. So I would say value realization and thinking about customers, please continue that. In terms of starting, and this is something I'm doing in my own team at SAP, we're not perfect yet, but we're trying, which is rapid prototyping, use many of the tools that are out there so that we can actually get this in a much faster, better way so velocity improves, but also experiment, because sometimes we don't know what will work, what will not work. So create a hypothesis, create experiments, try it out. If 1 out of the 5 works, it's still a much better situation than ever before. So I would say start the experimentation and prototyping part. The one thing I'll say stop is just the fear, right? Sometimes we think of glass half empty in some ways because the world around us is changing so quickly, so dramatically. We think about this in a slightly, is this going to take over our jobs and what have you? So I would say the future is enormously bright in my view from a product and what we can do and what we can serve our customers for. If any one of you is worried about it, I would say just stop worrying. I think we're on to much, much better path in the future.
That is such great advice. And I just want to say how fortunate we are to be able to partner with an organization like SAP. In the last 18 months, I've learned so much working with you. Our team has learned so much. We have leaders that we worked with, like Thorsten was here earlier, winning the award, and then now partnering with you, Alex, and Balaji, both on the the customer success side and on the product side to integrate Gainsight with SAP CX. It's just been an amazing partnership, and we are so thankful, and thank you for being here today. Huge round of applause for Balaji and Alex.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is great. Okay. Huge thank you to thank you very much. Huge thank you to Balaji and Alex. All right, let's bring us home. Everybody have fun yesterday, by the way? Was that good? I loved it. I did not think it was great. It was great. And I really enjoyed seeing all of you. And it was such a fun evening. Great way to cap off a phenomenal discussion that we had during the day. And we talked a lot about transformation. We talked about AI. We talked about agents. And I just want to recap for all of us the things that really resonated with me, and I hope it resonated with you as well, which is AI is fundamentally transforming our lives. I mean, you heard Alex talk about it, and you heard Balaji talk about it. It's transforming our personal lives. You saw my cool Ray-Ban glasses yesterday, and then we talked about Waymo. In fact, by the way, I like the Ray-Ban glasses so much that I got another pair. So if you want that second pair, just go to the expo floor, to the Gainsight booth, and you can sign up, and one lucky winner will get that extra pair of Ray-Bans. But try it out. It's a lot of fun. But we also talked about how AI is transforming our work lives. You heard from SAP. You heard about agents yesterday and how agents are now available for hire, and they can drive outcomes in a way that you could never drive before. But look, the reality is change is hard. It's not going to be easy. As Alex said, we're going to have a growth mindset. We have to look at the world, as Balaji said, about the glass being half full. But we're human, and we have our fears, and we always ask ourselves, like, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my team? And to that, I say, let's look at history, because we can learn a lot from history. It doesn't always repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. So if you worry about AI and agents and what that means for humanity, for jobs, let me just tell you a little story. Right across the water from here, in the 1800s, there was a professor, William Stanley Jevons. And he made this really interesting observation, which was about steam engines back in the day. And steam engines became very efficient during that time. So a lot of new technology that was developed that made steam engines very efficient. And they use a lot less coal than they did before. So the obvious conclusion one would make is, you need less coal now, right? Because let's say the steam engine became 20% more efficient. What would you do? Use 20% less coal. Well, it turns out that the opposite happened. Coal consumption just exploded in the 1800s because of these efficiencies that were developed in the technology. And the reason was, when technology drives efficiency, it drives costs down. And when steam engines become cheaper, they just started using them for all kinds of use cases that they'd never had to before. They were using them in ships, they were using them in mines, they were using them in factories. So these very efficient steam engines were just being deployed everywhere. So guess what happened to coal consumption? Started going up. Now this phenomenon is called the Jevons paradox. And it's a theory in economics that's well studied. What's interesting is you will see this repeat again and again in history. ATM machines, everybody uses an ATM machine, right? They were invented in the 1970s. And what would you think happened to bank teller jobs when ATM machines were invented? You'd think the first instinct is to say, yeah, no more bank tellers. Why would you need a bank teller when you can just walk up to the machine, put your card in, and get cash out? Well, over the next 40 years, the number of bank tellers doubled in the world. Doubled. And do you know why that is? Because back in the day when you had to have tellers, the banks would have to staff up every time they opened a branch, hire a bunch of people. It was expensive. But when you had ATM machines, you didn't need as many people to staff each bank. Each branch had fewer people. So it became cheaper for banks to have more branches. So they opened more branches because that's what the customer wanted. So guess what happened to the bank teller jobs? Went up. Very counterintuitive, right? Another great example is telemedicine. So COVID, telemedicine took off, right? We all started seeing doctors over Zoom or whatever video conferencing technology was there. And the first instinct was, oh, that's going to reduce the number of clinic visits. You don't have to go to the doctor that often. Well, I hate to break it to you, my wife right there would disagree with that. She is busier. She's a doctor. She's busier than ever seeing patients in her clinic. And the reason is because of telemedicine, people are able to find their ailments, their issues in way more frequency than they ever have before. Because now you have access to that healthcare. And when you have access to the healthcare, you can find the issues and you then want to go back and see the doctor. So it actually had the opposite effect. So in all of these examples, counterintuitively, the technology, because it's going to drive more efficiency, you think will drive demand down, does the exact opposite, drives demand up. So let's think about that, what that means for customer success, the customer experience, and jobs that we have, and the investments that we make in this. Now, look, it's not just about Jevons paradox and what I think is going to happen with AI and jobs, which, like Balaji said and Alex said, it's not going to reduce the jobs. It's going to actually make our jobs more fulfilling. And there'll be more of it because we don't have to deal with the drudgery. But what I'm also excited about is how AI is driving good for humanity. You know, AI is now being used for drug discovery. Google just a couple of weeks ago released a new model that's helping scientists find new molecules that can help. You know, I lost my mother and my brother to cancer, and hopefully one day AI can help us find a cure for cancer. Wouldn't that be awesome? The other example is disaster relief. You know, anytime there's a disaster, it's a huge humanitarian effort to help the people, and now AI is helping the people find the help that they need. And that is the magic, and that is how we can use AI for good. You know, I asked myself this question after yesterday, which is, well, who's going to be thinking about AI for good within customer success and the future of retention? The answer is all of you. This is the community that is going to find that answer to use AI for good for improving the customer experience and to drive retention as a service. The magic of humans and digital and agents coming together, working together to deliver retention as a service. So all of us can treat every customer like our best customer. So this is our moment. This is our moment. I ask each one of you to seize it, go learn, don't be afraid of change. It's not a time for fear. It's a time of wonder. Because this technology allows us to do things we could have never imagined before. And I know that this audience and this group and this community can bring massive amounts of good for our customers and for the field of customer success. With that, I thank you all and hope you have a wonderful second day at Pulse. Thank you very much.